welcome to today's video. Today I'm filming another video on some book recommendations, sharing some of my favourite books, and the theme is YA books because I love YA novels. They're so great. I think it's probably because I've been reading YA novels for quite a long time now, and I don't know, I just love them. And if you're like me, you also love YA novels, you want to find some new underrated YA novels, then this is the video for you, I hope, because I have read some great I think YA novels, and okay, maybe some of them are not like the best, but these ones that I've picked for this video, I think they're underrated. And on TikTok, I feel like we see just the same types of books. Yes, that's good, like a lot of them are very good. I have a video on some of my favorite kind of TikTok books. I don't like calling them that, but like that's where they've been popular, so that's why I'm calling them that. But anyway, so I think these books I'm going to talk about now, they're books that I think are underrated, and I think more people should read them, or more people should know about them, because there are so many great books out there and we just don't know, and that's quite a sad thought. The first book I'm going to mention is Not My Problem. This one came out recently, and when I say recently, I think in the past 2 years, because I read it a year ago. This one is pretty great. It's the first I read in quite a long time that I had no problems with, that I think was amazing. So just a quick summary. Aiden is a typical high school student. She has many problems she can't fix, like with her friends, problems at home. One day she stumbles across the second main character, who is an overachiever, and she's tired of it. So she wants a solution to that problem. The solution is asking Aideen to push her down the stairs so she can break her ankle and she can get out of like her extracurricular activities. That's how it starts. And then throughout the book we have the main character basically solving other people's problems. Now, I love this one. I wasn't expecting to love it this much. I think it's because I really like the two main characters, and they're quite similar but quite opposite, like an overachiever and someone who maybe isn't like that but has her own problems to deal with. And I also like that this one talks about like life problems, and this one in particular talks about not like extreme poverty but financial problems. I don't know, I don't remember reading a YA book that like mentioned that quite a lot, focused on that quite a lot, and this one does. I guess maybe that's why I love this book so much, because it talked about quite important problems, but it wasn't like too much. Like the way it was written was very good. No, it felt like it wasn't a typical high school novel. I feel like this book was comforting to me, and it's one of my favorites. It just feels like a comfort read, and I can't explain it why it feels like that, but it was great. And I know I did see it on Instagram. That's how I heard about this book, but I think it definitely deserves more recognition. It's a great book, so if you're thinking of reading it, I take this as a sign to read it. Okay, the next one would be Radio Silence. And I think this one recently has become more popular, I believe. I don't really know, but I read this quite a while back. That's like 4 years or 3 years ago when I read this book. A quick summary. Frances has one goal, and that's to study. Nothing will stand in her way, but then one day she meets Francis, and this is basically a story of their friendship. This book talks about academic pressure and mental health problems. So again, I think that's why I was drawn to this book, because we have a main character who is a high achiever. She's also shy. So again, I read this when I started uni, so it felt like I really could relate to the main character, and that's why probably this book felt very comforting to me, but I loved it so much. And it just felt so underrated. Like, I'm kind of not a fan of the cover, but because I don't like people on covers, but like, I love this book, and it's a shame I don't remember much of it, but I know that there was a lot of emotions, and again, it talked about important topics and important problems, which I don't like books that do this too much, because you know, you want to read a book to escape. Maybe the reason why I like this book so much is because it felt comforting, but either way, I think it's underrated, and I think you should read it. I think everyone should read it. The next book would be The Unexpected Everything. You may have heard of this one. It's quite a popular summer book. Andy has it all planned out. She's a politician's daughter. Like, everything is mapped out, planned out, and all of that. Then there is a scandal with her father, so she has to deal with all of that. And then there's a summer, and she has a job walking dogs, and she meets someone called Clark. Okay, maybe again I'm biased because I really like Morgan Matson's novels, and I felt like I could relate to the main character with the having everything planned out, because that's so like me. If you haven't noticed, I like books I can relate to. But I think this is quite underrated. It's such a great summer read because it's set in the summer, and I read it in the summer. So I love the author and the setting. Like, okay, maybe this wasn't the perfect book if we're going to like go into it in detail, but it's just so great. It's such a great YA novel, and it's so memorable to me. Like, it has stuck in my memory when I think of this book. So again, for me, a great book is one that like either makes you feel something or gets stuck in your head, like it's memorable, or a book I can relate to, really. So this had, I guess, all of that, and I think it's such a sweet summer book. And again, I haven't seen that much about it. The next one will be A Quiet Kind of Thunder. Again, I read this at the start of uni. So Steffi doesn't talk, but she has so much to say. Riss can't hear, but he can listen. The love is a lightning strike, it's the rumbling roll of thunder. So yes, the main character has selective mutism. So that's the big focus on this book. It deals with a lot of like important aspects like selective mutism, anxiety, deafness and shyness. I think this was so well written because it's such a beautiful story, and I read it in one day. Again, I need to reread this one at some point, and I will be rereading this one at some point. Also, I love the cover. But also, this book, like, apart from the main important topics, it also talks about friendship, love, friends and family, and I just think that's everything you need in a YA novel. And again, it just, like, this book made me feel so many things, and I could relate to the main character in some aspects, so that's why I was so drawn to this book. But it's just so beautiful, and like it doesn't feel like a typical YA novel, but at the same time, like, it deals with things that usually you get in a YA novel. So, and again, I haven't seen it that much on social media, which is such a shame, because please go read this book. It is beautiful. Again, I know everyone wants to read books with mental health problems, but it's just it's beautiful. I don't even know what else to say. Okay, we have 2 more books. The next one is Field Notes on Love. I have a review on this book already on my Bookstagram, so I guess you can read that. But in summary, we have a British Hugo and American Margaret. Hugo's going on a trip to America. He was going to go with his girlfriend, but they broke up, so he tries to find another Margaret, and he does. So they go on a trip together, and it's basically set on a train. And again, this book is so memorable to me. Like, I just love it, and I want to see it as a movie one day, please. I just loved it. I loved this book so much, and I loved the books by this author in general. Although I do get that this book was quite unrealistic, but it just was so dreamy and perfect. And that's the kind of books I want to read. Like, this is such a dreamy YA novel. Like, it's the perfect YA rom-com. It was just beautiful, and I love the characters. I love them together. I love the writing style, their journey. Like, you can really see the relationship developing in this novel, and it's just perfect. Also, this book made me appreciate trains. I love trains anyway, train journeys, but this just like made me want to go on like a long train journey. Beautiful novel. But the last novel will be The Manifesto on How to Be Interesting. I read this in high school, I believe, or in sixth form, so it's quite a while back, and I don't remember much about it. I just remember that since reading it, it was my favorite book. Again, it's quite a typical YA novel. So the main character, Bree, is not popular, and she wants to be. She's a writer. So she starts writing about the manifesto on how to be interesting. And it's basically, she comes up with this manifesto on how to be interesting, how to get people to like you, how to find friends, how to do well in school, all of that stuff. I guess she challenges herself and steps out of her comfort zone in order to write this. And again, I love this book because as a shy person, it's a book I could in a way relate to, because after reading it, it made me realize that, like, you know, sometimes as a shy person, like when I read a novel about someone like overcoming their shyness, it just feels like, oh, I can do that too. When I read this book, that's how I felt. Like, I can also, I guess, step out of my comfort zone. I don't know if it affected me at all, because I don't remember if I did or if I didn't, but the main character, be aware that this is like the age range is basically YA and like teens in high school, I'd say, because the main character can get annoying at times, and like she does like make mistakes and so on. Like looking at the book as a whole, it was again quite memorable, and it talked about like a lot of the things you usually get in a YA novel: family and friends and bullying and high school and the relationships. And there was one scene I remember, and I think it was at a party, so I don't remember a lot about this book. I just know that it was great, and I probably will reread it at some point. I just don't know when, because obviously when I read it I was probably 16, so quite a while back, and I don't know how if I would enjoy this book now, reading it now, but maybe. In general, I do have this idea that I want to like reread my favourite novels from when I was in high school to see what I think of them now. I just worry that I will end up not liking them. So, okay, I guess that's all. I talked about quite a few books and quite a few amazing books. I really hope you found a new book to read. That's like the whole purpose of this video, to share some of my favourite amazing books that I think are underrated. Please read them. Please let me know if you read them. I'm also thinking of doing this video again because I have more recommendations, but also thinking of doing this video but talk about different genres of books. So let me know if you would also like to see that. And yes, that will be all for the video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe if you're new to this channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.